Okay. All right. So while loop is very similar in the sense it will try to, it will execute until that condition is false. Okay. You also have another loop, which is, so in this case, if you have something like this, index equal to 0, index less than age, you might have to increment your own. Okay. So because you don't have that increment operator there, so you would have to increment inside the loop. Okay. There's also another loop which is do while loop. Okay. Do while index is less than age. Okay. Okay. Third loop. Okay. So the difference between while and do while is there's a small difference. I'm going to tell you what the difference is. Okay. All right. So it's very similar in the sense while loop will execute until that condition is false. Okay. Do while will also execute until that condition is false. Same thing. Okay. Now there is a minor difference. We're going to come back and discuss that. Okay. So for now, I'm going to save it and run it, and you're going to see that this one is going to go from 0 to 9. This one is from 10 to 1. This one from 0 to 9. Same thing, 0 to 9. Okay. Temp is inside temp. Okay. All right. So when you do while, the end you have to put a semicolon. So in C++, every statement has to end with a semicolon. Okay. And in a do while, you do need that semicolon also there. Okay. So I'm going to run this program. Boom. Okay. So all right, so you're going to see that the first and second loops are very similar to what we saw before, 0 to 9. Okay, so if I go there, first loop is 0 to 9. Okay, we said index equals 0, index less than age, so it went all the way to 9. Okay, the second loop is from 10 to 1. So that's because we started off with age and we said index greater than 0, so it went from 10 to 1. Okay, now the third loop is from 0 to 9. Because we started off with 0 and we said index less than age. Okay, and we executed this. Okay, now the fourth loop is also 0 to 9. Okay, and then we did this. Okay, it went from 0, incremented it, compared it, and everything. Okay, so you have a couple of options. You have for loops, while loops, do while loops. Okay, now which one to use at what point? Okay, so the for loop, obviously, if you have something like initialization, condition checking, increment, decrement, those kind of use cases, for loop is the best. Okay, but in some cases you may not have this, but let's say you already got this. Okay, money. Okay, now you want to say while money is less than $10, you want to loop. You don't have initialization part, but you might be doing something. Okay, so you might call a function here. Okay, debit money. Okay, so you might be doing something like this. Okay, so you don't have initialization part, but you have some condition, and you are executing looping through until that condition is false, or until that condition is that's right. Until that condition is false, that means they should do this. Okay, while money is greater than $10. You want to keep debiting the money until the money reaches $10 or less than $10. Okay. So that is while loop. Okay. So you don't have initialization. Maybe you don't have increment or decrement, but you have some condition and you are checking or looping until that condition is true. So you're going to use a while loop. Okay. All right. Now
We
the
can
final
also have switch statements, right? Like cases.
switch case.
Or
Yeah,
like switch.
switch case is for condition checks, not for while loops. That's more of like if else kind of condition checks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to switch case also. Yeah. Okay, so do while is like very similar to while, but what it does is it will execute the code once and then it will check the condition. Okay, so if you have some thing that you want to execute at least once, okay, and then check the condition later, then you want to do while. Okay, so do while will always execute one time, at least one time. While condition, there is no guarantee that it will execute at least once. Okay, if the condition is false, so if you have something like money is less than $0, money is that means this will never be, this won't be executed because the money in the bank account right now is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this won't be executed. But if I do the same condition here, while money is less than 0, this will definitely execute once. Okay, because it's not going to check for the condition until this piece of code is executed. Okay, so it's going to execute that piece of code and then check for condition. Okay, so the do while is always going to execute at least once, but the while loop may or may not execute at all. Okay, so I'm going to run this. Yeah, it's gonna fail because I don't have a function called debit money. But what I can do is I can comment this and I can show you this. Okay, the fourth loop is going to print index 0. Okay. I'm going to put int index because previously the statement used to be here. I removed that. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to run here. So you can see the fourth loop is executed only once. Okay. Yeah, because it first executed the condition, so executed the code, and then checked for condition, and the condition is false, so it came out of the loop. Okay. So in some cases, you might want to execute at least once. You might use a do while loop. Okay. Any questions so far?
No. Bro, why do we use that std in every line instead of like using namespace std?
Oh yeah, you can do that too. You can do, that's a good point. So if you don't want to keep typing std all the time, you can do using namespace std. And everywhere you can just do cout. Okay. It's just a habit that I had, but you can also do this. Yep. Replace enter, replace all. Yep. Okay. So you can do that too. So what you're doing is you're saying anytime you encounter a name that you don't know, look in this namespace std. Okay. So you're saying I'm going to use std namespace, and yeah, the cout is going to come from that std. Okay. You can do that. That would be less typing and all that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I have a doubt, bro. What is namespace?
What is namespace? Good question. So here, let's say I have this cout, right? Let's say somebody else in your company has their own cout. Okay. Or maybe somebody else has another. Okay. So let's say I have a function called. Okay. Yeah, but here I don't have much. But yeah, let's say that somebody has the end of the line symbol and all that, and you want to use their namespace. Okay, so you can have something like using namespace Verizon. Okay, so that means you're using the Verizon libraries, and this symbol is going to come from Verizon. Okay, instead of std. Okay.
Okay.
You're going to use your own.
It is like anybody can define the function, keep it in the
Exactly.
namespace, and anybody can use it.
Exactly. So That's equivalent to doing this. Verizon handle. Okay, you can use std
Okay.
cout, and you can put this. Okay, that means this symbol is going to come from Verizon namespace, which is a Verizon library and all that. Okay,
Okay.
you can use a standard std cout, which is like standard. But if you don't want
Okay.
that, want your own object, so you can use using namespace. So what happens is,
Okay.
if you don't have a namespace, this symbol, the compiler will get confused. Should I get it from std or should I get from Verizon? I don't know where to get it. Okay, so you define a
Okay.
namespace. When you define a namespace, it knows exactly where to get it from. Okay, yeah.
Oh, if it okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's namespace is to prevent any name collisions. Okay, so you can have the same function called save to database. Okay, in your team, another team might have the same function save to database. Okay, so but when you call it, you'll specify the namespace. Like, hey, I want team one save to DB, or you might have something like order. Okay, so you might say order save to DB. Okay. You might have transaction. You might say transaction save to DB.
Okay.
You might have different code bases, but the function name is the same, save to DB. Okay, but the
Okay.
namespace is different, so you're not going to have any name collisions and all that. Okay.
Okay. And is there any shortcut for the double colon?
Shortcut for double colon.
Yeah.
So you're saying instead of typing double colon all the time, is there a short representation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there is no short representation. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You have to type the whole thing, or you can use using namespace also. Okay. Anything is
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of typing, but the editor should be able to help you out. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that is loops, for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Okay. Now Rohit asked about switch case, so let's look at switch case. Okay. So let's say I have let's take some other example. Okay. So let's say that country. Okay. So let's say let's say country code. Okay. Country code equal to 0 is USA, or phone number, right? You have a phone number country code equal to US. Okay. If it is 91, that's India, right? So okay, so we're gonna say int US country code. Let's do this. Country code India equal to 91, right? And int Canada. I think Canada is also 1. Let's say Mexico. Mexico country code of Mexico. Let's say 23, whatever. Okay. So let's say we have these country codes. Okay, and we have a bunch of them. Okay, and let's say you call some function. Okay, get me some phone order. Okay, somebody placed an order in your company, and that's a phone order. They called in and they placed an order, and you got order details. Okay, order detail. Okay. Now you might be thinking this order, what is this and all that. Okay, so let's actually try to simplify. Let's say country code equal to get phone order. So this is a function that I'm calling that is going to go to database or maybe a file somewhere, but it's getting me the country code of that order that was placed on the phone. Okay. Now if I have to say if it's a US country code, maybe I want to ship it through FedEx. Okay. If it is country code is India, then I want to ship it through DHL. Okay. But if country code is Mexico, maybe I want to ship it through another carrier and all that. Okay. Maybe UPS or something else. Okay. So if I have to do this, then I have to do something like this, right? Okay. So if country code equal to country code of US. Okay, ship to FedEx. Okay, else if country code India to DHL. Mexico through US. Okay. So you might have a bunch of these countries. Okay, so you might have hundreds of countries, or maybe let's say 20 countries. Okay, you're a big company and you're shipping globally and all that. Okay, so you don't want to sit there, write all this like 20 if else's and all that, right? So there's a simplified way, and it's kind of like a shortcut. So you can just say switch country code, and you can say case country code of US. Okay. Ship through FedEx. Okay. But you need to put a break statement. Okay, I'll say what the break statement does. All right. So you can see that it kind of simplified few things for us. Okay. So instead of you saying if country code equal to that, do this, else do this, and you're writing a lot of these conditions, if this, if this, if this, okay? But this is more readable because you're saying that switch on this country code. That means if that matches with this US, execute this piece of code, okay? If this country code matches this thing, execute this thing, okay? So it's gonna go through every one of these. It's gonna compare country code with US, then it's gonna execute this, and then it's going to come out of it. Okay, but if it matches this guy, it's going to execute this and it's going to come out of it because you have a break statement. Break means okay, you can get out of this execution right now. Okay, and so on. Okay, so if it matches Mexico, it's going to ship through UPS and so on. So it's more readable because you are saying that if that matches, do this. Okay, instead of writing in this way, okay, you can do this. Okay, so let's try to do this. So I have the get phone order country code. So I'm going to define that function here, which is going to return, let's say 91, which is India country code. Okay. All right. Yeah. So we don't have these functions here. Okay. So that's fine. For now, let's just do a print statement here. Okay. And then finally you have UPS. All right, so we have these different functions. Okay, so here I just put a print statement, but in real world, maybe you're going to generate a shipping label and all that. Okay, and maybe send a message to FedEx to come pick up the package, whatever you want to do. Okay, so you might have the separate functions to do separate things. And that's a phone order that's going to return you the country code for that. Okay. Now for the first thing, we are saying that if the country code matches US, I do this and so on. Okay, so if I run this program, you're going to see the same output coming from there and the same output that's coming from there also. Okay, so you should see shipping through DHL 2 times. Okay, because it's going to come there and it's going to output it here also. Okay. It's not constant. Okay. So we are running some latest version of C++. So it's saying that you assign a constant value. So it may be you may want to declare this as a const. Okay. So let's change this to const. Const means it's not going to be modified. Okay. And these 3 dots is not part of the language. I'm going to get rid of it. These 3 dots also. I'm going to get rid of it. Okay. All right. So you're going to see that ship through DHL is going to come up 2 times because one is for the if-else conditions, the other one is switch case statement. Okay. The switch case is nothing but it's kind of a more easy readable code base, or in the sense it's kind of, it can give you, like, instead of writing multiple if-else, you can do switch case, and that's going to be simplified. Okay. Good. Any questions so far? Okay. It's saying that your message is too long. Okay, I'm going to split this into to 2 messages. Oh, I get it. It says that you can't send a big message. Yeah, so
Bro, I think the if-else and
Maybe just
switch is
set
enough.
yeah. We
sorry,
have
what?
the
So we have the rest of the code right before.
Oh, okay, yeah,
just send
yeah.
the first box.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yep. All right, so the switch case statement helps you with code readability, voice, and all that. Okay. Now, since you have seen this const int and all that, so there is an easy method for this. Okay, so instead of declaring constant and all that, there is something called enumerator. Okay, enumerator means it's a single value, or in the sense it's a data type which is similar to an integer. Okay, so I can say enumerator all country codes or country code. So I don't need to define const int or anything like that. Okay, and I can just say US. Okay, so I can assign any value I want. So, but they're all separated by a comma because it's just continuation. Okay, so here I'm saying that yeah, I declared an enumerator. Enumerator is nothing but an integer, but the name of this US is going to be 1. Okay, that means every time I use US, it will replace that with value 1. Every time I use India, it's going to use 91. Everywhere I say Mexico, it's going to use 23. Okay, so let's use this thing there. Okay, so I can just say this, switch on country code, and then I can say, sorry, okay, yeah, country code : US. Okay, country code : India. Country code : Mexico. Okay, so that means you cannot have an invalid country. Okay, before you might be able to say something like else country code equal to let's say 48. Okay, So before you were able to do that, but now with the if else and with the switch case, it's an enumerator. So it has to be one of the valid values. Okay. Okay. Forget about this one. Let's not go into too much details. Okay. So here, enumerator. So we changed the country code to enumerator. So here I'm going to say enum. I'm going to say country codes. Country code equal to that. Okay. Get phone order country code. It's going to return. Okay. So that means they cannot return some invalid value. Okay. It has to be one of these values. Okay. So there is no possibility of a typo or anything like this. Okay. So you are restricting the values to valid values. Okay. So before, people could have put something like 7873. Okay. That's not even a valid country code. But now you are forcing them. Sorry, this has to be country codes. Okay, now you're forcing them to use one of these values. Okay, so you might have another thing, Italy equal to 42. Okay, and yeah, UK equal to 5, whatever. Okay, so you might have this valid list of countries, and you want to force them to use only one of these valid values. Okay, you don't want to give them the flexibility. They can put some random garbage or anything like this. Okay. Okay, so this will force them to use only these values. Okay, so the enumerator is nothing but an integer, and you are having a bunch of values, and only one of those values is valid. Okay, anything else is invalid. And just notice that this function used to be on the top. I pulled it below. That's because I'm using this enumerator. And in C++, it has to be that if I'm using this, it has to know what this is before it encounters this. Okay, that means I have an enumerator here. I cannot start using it above. Okay, I have to use it below this. Okay, since I'm using it, the compiler has already should know what that country codes means. Okay, so this has to be on the top and this has to be on the bottom. Okay, so that's why I pulled it from above to here. Okay. So I'm going to give you this piece of code here. So let me run this first. Okay. So this should print the same thing as we did before. So I'm going to comment this. Okay. Country code was not declared. Did you mean country codes 95? Oh, sorry. Country code has not been declared. It's country codes, I think. Okay, there you go. Okay, same thing as what we saw before. It's going to print that shipped through DHL. But now we are forcing the users to have valid values. You cannot have invalid values. Okay. So I'm going to give you this last piece of code here. And I'm also going to give you that enumerator. All right, guys. Any questions so far?
Bro, where exactly we need to use this enum? What do we call this one, bro? Is it a variable or a class name or what it is? Country codes.
Yeah, this is an enumerator. That means
Okay,
that's an enum. Okay, let's say you have different devices. Okay, set-top boxes. You have a model 1, model 2, version 1, version 2, or whatever it is. Okay, so you might declare your enumerator saying version 1, version 2. Okay, but people cannot say I have version 10 that I want to send you go get me some value from there. Okay, you want to force them to use one of the valid values. So you might declare an enumerator saying I have a set-top box version 1, set-top box version 2. That's it. Okay.
No,
And
actually, this one, like we are using country codes in front of the function return type, right?
yes, that's right. Yeah.
And we also use it before the variable, like
Yes,
country code.
that's correct. Yeah. So what that means is
So,
this. Okay. So whenever you want to use a value, you would have to specify this. So this is, think of this as an integer. Okay. So this as integer,
okay.
and this as saying int India equal to 91. Okay. Think of this as int Mexico equal to 23. Okay. So this is a variable name, and this is the variable type. Okay. So you're saying
Okay.
you're returning integer. So yeah, you're returning integer, and here you're returning the value, which is 91.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all it is. Okay.
No, the variable which we declared down, bro.
Yeah, 31.
Like to get the to get this function. So we
Yes.
declared a variable country codes. Oh, in order to get this one, we have declared that one.
Yes. So I'm saying that
Okay, bro. Yeah, got it. Yeah,
got it right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all we are saying is I have a variable called India. I'm returning that value, which is 91. Okay. But the type of that is an integer, which is this guy. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, think of this as
So
integer, and this is a
no,
variable.
here we are returning like India, and we know that if India is returned and we need to ship it to DHL, what is the purpose of initializing with 191.23 those values?
Sorry, say it one more time.
No, actually we are returning with India, right?
Yeah, we're returning India. Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So why do we need to initialize 191.23 to respective countries? We can just have US, India, Mexico, Italy, UK, right? We are not using these values, right?
Oh, okay.
191.23.
Yeah. This is a demo code. I mean, in reality, you might have return get order from database.
Okay. There we used to have these values, so we need to compare that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I just hard coded this to compile the program and get you output.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for clarification. I just put that there, but yeah. Any other questions, guys? Okay, so we looked into for loops, while loops, do whiles, function calls, how to call a function, return the values, enumerators, cout statements. Okay, now let's also look at something called cin. Okay, so if you want to get the user input, so you have to do cin. Okay. Okay. Let's say x. Okay. Now you can notice that for a cout, I have these angular brackets on the left side. For a cin, the angular brackets are on the right side. Okay, so the input is always will be on the right side, and the output will always be on the left side. Okay, so and then we can use the cout statements if you want. I got x. Okay. Okay, so here we are accepting some number and we are printing that number. Okay, so if I run this program, oh, it didn't wait for me. cin. Oh, sorry. Oh, come on. What am I doing? This cannot be here. Cin x. Okay, so I have to do something like this. Enter some number column and wait for it. Okay, so now we're gonna do cin x. All right, so now what happened is I did a C out. Okay, so it showed me the C out. Okay, you can see that there. And then I said C in X. Okay, that means it's waiting there for me to enter some number. Okay, so when I enter something like 10, it's going to print I got 10. Okay, so what happened is it accepted the input and put the value of that 10 in this variable called X, and then we are printing that X. Okay, so that's how you would accept input. Okay, so let me run this one more time. Yeah, so it's going to wait until I enter some number and hit enter. Okay, even if I hit even if I enter a number, but if I don't hit enter, it's still going to wait there. Okay, so if I want, I can change that. Oh, I made a typo, so I can change that. Okay, and now I'm going to press enter. That's when it's going to take that input. Okay, so you can see I got this number. Okay. So that's how the C in or standard input works, which is like you put an angular bracket and you put it on the right side. Okay. For C out, it's the left side. For input, it's the right side. Okay. Yeah. If you have a float, you can accept a float character, any data type, and so on. Okay. All right. Any questions so far?
Uh, I'm getting some error while executing this switch cases.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and maybe you can share your screen. Okay.
This is error.
Warning: use of enumeration in a nested is a C++
It's
11
just a
extension.
warning, right?
Go back to the code. Let's see.
It's not error. It's just a warning, right?
I think the last one is error. Add missing switch cases and all that. So go back to that. Oh, okay. Yeah, it gave you the output.
Yeah.
Let's watch here. Hold on one second. US India. Okay. Now the thing is this. Okay. So if you scroll up, you have a yeah. So you have these conditions which are Italy and UK. Okay. And if you scroll down, now the thing is you did not handle those Italy and UK conditions here. Okay. So the
Okay.
program is saying that, hey, you're handling only partially. You're not handling all the situations. So that's what it's saying. Enumeration is not handled. Okay. So it's saying that, hey, you're not handling. So this is one of the good things with enumerator. If you are missing something, it's going to throw you that warning. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's saying that yeah, it's trying to help you.
Yes. Yeah.
I think my compiler is an older version, which is why it didn't complain. But your compiler is latest. That's why it's trying to show you some latest warnings and all this stuff. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me go back to sharing. Okay. All right. Now, what I want to do is I want to stop here. Okay. So it's almost 10 more minutes, but I want to give you a small assignment. You guys have to do this and send it to me. Okay. I mean, this is for practice and that helps you guys. First program is the print 1 to 100, which is very basic. Okay. Second thing I want you to do is print even numbers from 1 to 100. Okay. Now, third thing I want to do is print prime numbers from 1 to 100. Okay. So just to define, even number means it's divisible by 2. Prime number means it's not divisible by anything. Okay, that would be considered a prime number. Okay, let's also see. Fourth, write a function to do this 1 to 3. Okay. Fifth question is enum enumerator to do one of these. Okay. So your function has to accept an enumerator that tells it whether you should print 1 to 100 or even numbers or prime numbers. Okay, one of these conditions. Okay, and that you're gonna get it through an enumerator. Okay, so start off with basic, print 1 to 100. Next one, even numbers. Next, prime numbers. Now write a function to do those things. Now the function should accept an enumerator that will do one of these. Okay. So I'm going to send this in the chat.
So do we use a switch statement for this, bro?
Yeah, you can use a switch statement here.
Okay.
You can use a switch statement for the last one, which is which function to execute. Okay.
Yeah.
For that, you can use a switch statement here.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to
We need
format.
3 different, right? One for even numbers, one for prime numbers.
Yeah. You can write 3 different functions. First one, second one, third one. And then you're gonna have one function that's gonna do all 3 of them, and maybe another function that will take an enumerator and do only one of them.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, but do this for sure, because you will get used to it. Number one. Number two is the more comfortable you are with the coding, the better it is for you. And these are all like basic programs. Okay. And they should not take more than like half an hour, 1 hour of your time. Okay. So just spend some time. You can Google it, search it, whatever you want to do. And you can send me a picture in the WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to send you a recording. I might upload this recording on YouTube and as a private video. And I'm going to send you the link for this. Okay. But yeah, okay. I'll see you guys next week. But yeah, send me this. And if you have any questions, you can ping me. Okay.
Okay, so the class is weekly once, every Sunday?
Yeah, that's what I got the feedback from that calendar, that polling that I did Sunday around 10. But I will see. If I have time, I will do maybe Saturday also. But yeah,
Okay.
for now, planning for Sunday. I might have a Python session on Saturday, but I'll keep you guys updated.
Okay. So,
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Take care, guys.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, bro.